Hey guys, so I feel so silly now because I'm so used to going live on TikTok that it just seems weird to go live on Facebook. They love me over there. You guys here are on Facebook. So how have you guys been? Have you guys felt the shift? It's quite the shift. I do feel like we're in some sort of retrograde too, something to that effect. It's good times though, because they're starting to talk about UFOs. Oh, what did they say? They were talking about aerospace and UFOs and unexplained forms of intelligence, which I think is interesting because it's intelligence. So they could be doing all kinds of things. Like we have the body, we have the vessel. They don't have that, so they can come in and hop from planet to planet and all the things, which you guys know that I'm totally a flat earther. Totally. I mean, it said it in the Bible. So, good to see you guys. Sorry I have not been a little bit more proactive on my YouTube channel. I've been moving a lot of things over to the other side as far as separating myself from the public to the private. So I'm going to go over some of the things that I have been working on and then show you how I organize, because when I say organize, I know I say it a lot and it probably sounds a little exhausting, but when you start doing audits and you start doing like even a complaint to CFPB or anything like that, they're going to, once you put that in, they're going to kick back like a complaint number to you. You need to log that. Make sure that you're keeping notes of when you sent the CFPB, and that the CFPB, for whoever's watching that is new to this, that is Consumer Financial Bureau, CFP Public Bureau, something like that. So when you're doing these, basically in a nutshell, you have already contacted Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, right? They have not done anything for you. So now you're taking it to this CFPB place to put in a complaint, right? Because these companies, and I know that they call them bureaus, but these companies are they're just companies, they're just side companies, and they're literally dictating your lifestyle, right? They're dictating your lifestyle by this score that they're giving you. Thank you, ding in the back. They're giving you this score, and that's the means that you're going to live in, right? So when you're putting in these complaints to CFPB, I'm just saying, make sure that you keep your notes. That's it. Because I put in several, and then when I went back and then I started getting emails, and then I think one of them wanted more information from me. So I was like, oh shit, well, which one was that? So as soon as I put it in, let's say, just for conversation purposes, let's say it's Ford, right? I put it in for Ford, and then it's gonna kick me back a number. Now I log that number so that if they want anything else from me, or if they need any other documentation, then I can give that to them, and I know what complaint number that I was gonna say resides with. Sorry, let me take my gum out, hold on. So that's where I say, really make sure that you're keeping notes very well, especially if you're doing anything with the remittance coupons. Now I'm gonna go back a little bit because I do have people that are very new to this, but the statement that you are getting in the mail is actually a coupon. It's a bond, and the top part is a bond, the bottom part is a voucher. It's a coupon. So we have been indoctrinated for so long to think that that's how we're supposed to pay our bills, when in fact there is another way to do that. Now, the people that I have spoken to, whether it's with Verizon or the bank or whoever I'm dealing with, those people on a local level like us, they don't understand this terminology. They don't understand, because they're part of the indoctrinated people too. They're still underneath this umbrella too. What you're trying to do is get out from underneath the umbrella, or you're trying to get out of the forest so that you can see the trees, right? So when you're talking to them, just understand that you may have to go over heads. You may have to, let's go back to the remittance coupon. So when you get that, there is a way to fill it out. You guys don't just take bits and pieces of what people are telling you, or if you're following content creators, make sure that you yourself are doing a thorough, process of looking up stuff, making sure that what that person is teaching you is right. Like, I encourage you to go behind me and make sure that what I'm telling you is correct, because if anything, I want you to come to me and tell me so that I can now correct myself. So in that, remember that when you're keeping this information, and then maybe you have to call like a place, say it's Ford, say you have to call them, you need to make sure that now you're on the line with them, make sure it's above the people, right? You have the right person, because you don't want to talk to Tammy on the other line that's under the umbrella. You want to talk to the CFO, or that's the chief financial officer, or you want to talk to the indentured trustee or the trustee. But make sure that you have, like, at this point, I have had to research Ford because that's one of my lists, but I need to make sure who is the president, who's the CFO, who's the CEO, do they have emails, do they have fax? Because at this point, when I'm sending something in, I'm getting no resolve. But whenever I email something in, I get response. So email works, and then also fax, because if you do a fax, like, just make sure that anything that you're writing down, an email, the home office that person works in, make sure that they are there, right? Because he is gonna, or she is gonna know what you're submitting and why. Most of the things that you're going to submit is gonna have a cover letter of instruction. What are you telling Mr. CFO, or what are you telling the indentured trustee to do, right? So go back to like your notes. When I start to put together a template, or if I start to put together, I'm making up a document that I can submit to these people, but I need to make sure that they know what I'm talking about, right? I don't want to come off as a peasant underneath the umbrella. I want to come off as, I know what I'm talking about, and this is what I'm instructing you to do. Those are going to be followed up with codes, but then also make sure that you've done your due diligence, because if you have like a whole, like if your letter is just rock solid and they're not going to be able to budge to that, what you're doing is you're correcting a lot of this stuff, but also you're starting a paper trail, right? You need a paper trail to be able to correspond with these people. And I say paper trail as if it's paper, but like I said earlier, I'm getting more response from an email. So I'll go into Chat GPT, because you guys know I don't know where the comma goes, and I'll put that in, and then I copy it, paste it, and then I stick it in my email, and then I kind of rework it, because when I use Chat GPT and I put in some of these codes, it doesn't like it. She'll kick it back out and be like, I'm not allowed to give you legal advice. You need to contact an attorney. And I'm like, no, I need you to write this so that I can act as my own attorney, because you can do that. So when you're doing this, make sure that when you're putting together your email, what codes do you want to use? I kind of make like a cheat sheet, if you will. What codes do I want to put in? Because I want to make sure this shit is rock solid. I don't want to mail it off, certified mail, and then all of a sudden 2 nights later, right before I go to sleep, I think about, damn, I should have put that in there. Give yourself time to make up this document, because when you make these up, once you sign it and you send it off, it's certified, right? So it's gone through the Postal Service, which the Postal Service also acts as a bank. Once you get into like stamps and stuff like that, that's a whole nother, the Stamp Act is a whole nother thing. The other thing that I noticed is the codes are one thing, but the acts, like if it's I was gonna say House Joint Resolution, that wasn't it. It would be like the Stamp Act, or, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? But the acts are more important than what would be codes. But I mean, most of our stuff is codes. Like even with taxes are voluntary. You know, they're actually a gift to Washington. That is 31 USC 321. A gift to Washington. Look that up. 31 USC 321. Taxes are a gift to Washington. What? So that's how I run this, as far as putting all my stuff together, so that whenever I can compile a airtight, right? You have to make sure that who you're talking to is above the heads, right? Because again, the people that are on the lower levels are not going to understand what we're talking about, right? So you need to think, as I'm presenting myself to Ford, or I'm presenting myself to, you know, whoever you're, you know, Capital One, whoever you're wanting to communicate with, right? Have everything together, put it in Chat GPT, let it reword itself, then take that, copy and paste it into your email. I have heard a couple people say that they've gotten some feedback through fax, which I think is quite interesting, because then it's like it's going to come right out and somebody's going to have to grab it. You know, you're going to end up getting it, or Tammy on the other line is going to end up getting it. But that's as far as like the remittance. I will be honest, I have not had any luck with the remittance at this point. I know people who have. And it kind of like, damn, like, what are you guys doing that I'm not doing? Because I feel like I'm doing everything that everybody else is doing, you know? So that's why I tried the email method. And at this point, I am getting people to respond to me. So email works. I will tell you that. I did send my 3 letters. It's like 3 letters of instructions. The third time is a letter to cure to make this right. Or it goes to arbitration. So now I'm having to come up with my arbitration letter, which is kind of sketchy for me, because I'm like, damn, I'm really like throwing these, like, you know, I'm so used to, or have been indoctrinated so much to think that I'm under them, you know, where I'm like, I'm kind of scared to like summons the court or move, put it in motion. You know, I'm like, usually I put it in motion by some dumb shit that I did, but now I'm like, I'm having to go, I motion the court, I summons you to do this, or you know, whatever you're doing. And that just refers to, I filed my second contempt on my ex for alimony, and I went ahead and did like a garnishment thing too, with affidavits and all that kind of stuff. So now again, I'm summoning the court, saying I, as the plaintiff, as the attorney at, no, it wouldn't be at law, because clearly I don't know where the comma goes. Can you see me in law school? No. I think it's attorney in trust or something like that. And so I'm acting as my own, but you know, it's just nerve-wracking, because now I didn't want to have to go to arbitration with these big companies like Ford, or even you know, him. I didn't want to have to do that, but you know, I mean, shit, fuck around and find out, I guess. But now 2 weeks ago, well, was it 2 weeks? I guess it would be 2 weeks at this point, but a friend of mine and I went up to Atlanta. We took our birth certificates up there to be authenticated. And it was even kind of, I don't know, I've never really been there, you know, to go in to ask for this and, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't hang out in those places. But, you know, once we turned in our stuff and it came back and it had like a little seal and it was all pretty, and then we mailed it off that day, and now it's up on federal level. I did get my little mailer postage like thing back or whatever, saying that they got it. So I'm excited to see it, because it comes all official and it has like all, like, I don't know, things like that make me excited. Now, if you're doing the remittance coupons or anything like that, you don't have to authenticate your birth certificate or anything like that. There are people that are going to say that you have to, but here's my thought on that. If you have an end goal, what steps do you want to take to get to that end goal? Does that also accompany maybe authenticating your birth certificate? Then do that. You know, if it doesn't, and you're just wanting to pay bills and like just do the remittance coupon and that, like, that's it, then you don't have to authenticate anything because it's, that's yours. But you can if you want to. And I guess I just wanted everything to be like, no, I took it back, I guess, because here's the thing. So it bothers me, I guess that, sorry, I feel like I'm stuttering so bad, but it really does bother me that we've lived in such an illusion put on by Hollywood, put on by actors and technology that like we've never seen before, and CGI and masks and clones, and to the peasant under the umbrella, they're not going to know, or they're not going to have a clear vision of these kind of things. They're not going to, like, when I talk about aliens, I absolutely love to talk about aliens, but when I do, and it's with somebody that likes to talk about aliens too, my little heart just flutters. But when I talk to somebody that doesn't, I just kind of get like, you really don't believe that there's aliens here? Like intelligence, like an intelligence, right? Because think about it, the intelligence can get in any vessel. It's like a demonic possession or an angelic possession or shapeshifters, or, there's so many things, and you don't believe that? It just, I don't know. Then I want to be like, where'd you grow up? What's your background? Like, you really don't believe that? But I'm weird, so it's okay. I think the last time that I spoke to you guys, I was telling you guys about the trust. I created my trust. That's on Law Depot, and it's LAWDEPOT. You can create that there. You just make an account. It'll walk you through it. It'll tell you like who, like the grantor is, who, all the peoples, who the trustee is, terminating the trust. I did a revocable living trust because I wanted to be able to make changes before I croak. So you can print it off and then have it notarized. Now my TDA, and that's really what that was. Like I printed it off and had it notarized. I did take it to my Bank of America, but then also Treasury Direct also asked for it too, because that's also my trust. Like they want the papers, all the things. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. Remember I've been bitching about not having a firm book? I have one. But look, we went up to Atlanta. That was our Atlanta little outing. So there's a lot of pages missing. It's okay. Look, beggars can't be choosers. I just wanted one so bad. I feel so official. So yeah. Oh, this is my little receipt. This is my receipt from the authentication. But I love the song. Britney Spears, Stronger. Absolutely. So, I have told a couple people, but I am moving at the end of September. So a lot of like my utilities and things like that are going to be changing. So now at this point, everybody that I've written and I've sent letters to and I've sent emails to and all the things, everybody that I have done that to, now I'm going to have to start all over because I'm moving. So I know. But if anything, I look at that as like, that is a practice run. So now I know what I'm doing with these like new utility companies, because I don't know if my insurance will, I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to my agent, but it's exciting. It's an exciting time. So let me tell you guys real quick about Treasury Direct and, setting that up, and then also the Fidelity account, because setting that up is really vital to accessing it. So think about your Treasury, right? Has anybody ever bought a bond or anything like that from you or for you? Well, that would be located at the Treasury, right? So also think about your birth certificate is also a bond. Where's that located? You need to send it back, authenticate it, and then send it back and say, this is me, I am alive, and then that way the Treasury knows, because right now the Treasury has you guys as dead at sea. It's a minor account. You don't even have like an adult account kind of a thing, because we're considered dead at sea. America is under maritime law, and that's how they labeled us. We're considered chattel, like chattel. So, you know, once those things, like, once you correct your status and you correct a lot of those things, then they recognize you as like, oh, okay, well, now she can have access to her trust, or she can have access to those bonds and that kind of thing. So that's why I'm saying creating a TDA account is going to give you that access. Also, a Fidelity account, which a lot of people do have a Fidelity account, and I just learned the other day that my banking is with Ameris, but I heard Fidelity just bought them. I've only heard that once, so I need to hear it a couple times or even research it before I agree with it or I make it true in my head. But I don't know. That was interesting to me, because then I made a Fidelity account. So I'm like, okay, well, if Fidelity bought Ameris, then I wonder if I should link my Fidelity account also to my Fidelity online account. Like, is that how that works, kind of a thing? So having your TDA is one thing, is where your bonds and that kind of, like, where you're going to be able to access the funds. But having the Fidelity account is where you're going to find your QSIP number, where you're going to figure out like you can look up, oh gosh, what is it? Like any dockets, if you've ever been to court or anything like that, those, I don't want to say SKU number, but the docket number, or if you were married or divorced, those court case numbers, put those in there, and a lot of times those will end up being bonds. Thank you. So you can also do your driver's license. I have several, and then I ended up auditing them too, because on the flip side, as a citizen, we're not actually supposed to have driver's license because we're not drivers. Drivers are UPS or Uber, or we travel. We have the right to travel. Where if you're a driver, taxi, whatever, semi, that kind of thing, then you would have such license. But if you're like, I don't drive for Uber, or I don't, deliver pizzas, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't do that commerce-y kind of travel, like delivery service or anything like that. So I just travel. So I don't necessarily need to have a driver's license to travel. If I was working in commerce, then yes, and also, which would be considered CDL, but CDLs are like for bigger trucks and that kind of thing. So that's a whole nother license that you should probably audit. Yeah, so, but the TDA forms, you can get all of them online. You're creating your account to be able to buy and sell those bonds, right? So recently, when I was on the phone with them, So recently, whenever I was on the phone with them, I asked about bonds that my grandfather had bought for me. And I don't have them. I've looked for them. I don't know where they're at, but they are at the Treasury. I do know that. So I had asked her, how do I recover those? And she sent me a form. I don't remember what form it is, but she sent me a form, and she said, just fill it out as best as you can. And, once they find it, then they send you the money for it. So I'm going to look for those. But it's, it's almost like all of this is, it's almost like, I say it's like Scooby-Doo. Like, I just feel like I'm always looking for little clues, and like I see the world differently, and like even the banks and stuff like that. Like now, whenever I'm in the bank, now I look around and I'm looking for certain things because I know what I'm looking for. Before, I was just like, oh, let me deposit this, or let me take out, that kind of thing. It was very commerce-y. Now I want to get on the private side so I can talk to the people in the offices and not the tellers. So that's part of that. But again, it goes back to, what is your goal? What is your end goal to do? Do you want to live comfortably? Sure. Do a TDA, do a Fidelity, link those, like make sure that they're, together, so to speak. And, that way, and learn to buy and sell your bonds. Those are yours. And one of them, I want to say it was like Saks Fifth Avenue or something like that, which was interesting because I'm like, that's a whole bond. Like, how did I get that? where did that come from? Well, obviously Saks Fifth Avenue, but it was just interesting to me. So when you go through the bonds and you find those and you find your CUSIP number and you know how to take it back over here and put it in here and that kind of stuff, it's all education. And making when you're creating your book, it's just organization. What are you working on? Is it credits? Then make like little credit area. Is it CUSIP numbers where you're wanting to buy and trade and that kind of stuff? And look, if it says like 20, let's say 20 million, make sure that what's the yield on that? Or is it in a pool? Is it in a pool with 20 other people? Then clearly it's going to be split 20, you have to know how to read that. Don't just log on and be like, I found my CUSIP. Now what do I do with it? There's so much you could do with it. There's other things to do with that. So, I don't know. It's an exciting time to be alive, you guys. I keep hearing about the redemption centers. I keep hearing about the med beds. The med beds bring so much little joy to my heart. It's just a great time to be alive. And that's where I think, with the UFOs and the aliens and all that kind of stuff, like I don't look at them as aliens. Like, okay, let me back up. Okay, so maybe, yes, they're aliens to like what I know though, right? That's how I look at that, because if it's something different, then it's going to be an alien to me. I don't comprehend it. I've not seen it, So if something appears to me, that does not look like me or does not look human, then yeah, I'd be like, holy shit, what is this? But even having the education with that, with shapeshifters, or, shit, you can have walk-ins. And if you guys don't know, walk-ins are where, okay, so say, let me not say that. Okay, so say that at some point in my life, I just don't feel like going on. I'm just done with my chapter. I'm done with my contract. I don't want to do this anymore, that kind of thing. But I know that like my vessel, my being, so to speak, has a purpose. Well, my soul can tap out, which then a walk-in would come in and finish out my plan, finish out my purpose. That's what a walk-in is. And at times I have wondered if I've had many walk-ins, because there's been times that I've just been so down and just like, I just don't even want to do this anymore. This is stupid. And I'm not even saying like in my immediate life, I'm talking about like, I see things over the spectrum. So I look at it as a whole. I can see the government as the whole and what they're doing and these little games that they're playing, Congress and Senate and all that kind of stuff. But then it hurts my heart for humanity to be watching it and believing it, or watching it and not understand that it is a movie, or like all of this is fake. And you have to, the more people that call bullshit on the bullshit, then it stops, and I just feel like if everybody would see, but then I have to go back to God said not everybody's going to see, if everybody could see, then the government, they couldn't do anything else. Like think about the White House. What's the White House look like right now? That's not the White House of what we knew be the White House, Hey, Jen. Exactly. 100%. It's crazy, but when you see over the spectrum and you can see like celebrities, all these people like Britney, that's not Britney. That's not Jamie Foxx. And he's busting out Oprah right now. I think Jamie Foxx is gone. And I also think Oprah is gone. But this is the way to put it on mainstream media to show you guys, the ones that are still in the box. You got to get out of the box. Get out of the box. They're lying to you, and the celebrity whole thing, we all saw it. They had boots on their little feet and that they were on house arrest. There's a whole like parallel reality that's going on next to yours, but you have to be able to look at it. And yeah, it's scary because it's going to shake your whole narrative, but when we realize that aliens are actually here, and we realize that Kanye West, yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden he's, his normal height, and then all of a sudden he's like 6 something, like, and that's literally to wake up the normies. But then you have the sleepers that are just like, oh, well, he maybe had platform shoes on. What? Like, how many more times do you need to see it before it becomes real to you? Like, get out of the cognitive dissonance, and I feel like people are very safe and comfy in their cognitive dissonance, and like, you're only shooting yourself in the foot by playing in the matrix, in society. And clearly, whenever it's backed by like Rockefeller and the schooling system, I can see it. The schooling system, the banks, how Netflix is owned by all these people, or the television companies are all owned by the same people. Or you have food, you may have 3 different types of cereal sitting in your cupboard, but they're all owned by the same people, and when you realize like those people have a mission to off us, but then you have to wonder, like, why would they want us to be dead? Like, why would they, since they've made us worker bees, why wouldn't they just keep like almost feeding us well to continue to work, like that? I don't know. That would be crazy, right? Just to feed us well. Shit, Michelle Obama took that 4th chicken nugget from the 4th graders. So, it's just, when you see the bigger picture, you can't unsee it. And I think that's where a lot of people are now. And it breaks my heart, because when I see somebody that is very like blinders or very blind, or like I can tell by like what comes out of their mouth, it does hurt my heart, because I don't have enough time in the day to wake somebody up at this point. I started back years ago posting this shit on Facebook. I lost a lot of friends from it, but hey, you know what? Showed me that we weren't really friends. So, but I did want to come on here and show you this, guys. I do have my firm mailing book. Just to recap, I did do my trust. I have to send it off to TDA, my Treasury Direct, and then my things are all going to come back. I'll go live when my birth certificate comes back from the federal level, because it's pretty. I want to show it. I think it's cute. But yeah, so a lot is going on, a lot of movement, a lot of energy in the air, shifting. There is a lot of shift, not only among us on a human level, but also spiritually. And sometimes I have to stop myself and almost remind myself that I'm human, that I have to be down here and do these human things, because the ethers and the angelic realm and the high vibrational kind of energy is so appealing to me. So it's really hard to be around like people that are not of that energy, and at this point, my next chapter is super exciting. I have a lot of things planned for you guys. I am moving at the end of September. So it's exciting. But I love you guys. Have a good night. Stay high vibrational. It's happy up here. When we start to think about the things that, keep us down, or our earthly duties, or even like Earth is the only planet that has emotion. I have to remember that sometimes, like, if I do have an emotion that comes up, I have to almost talk to myself and say, hey, like Earth is the only planet that, like, are you really feeling, do you want to feel this right now? Do we need to move through this? Do we need to stick this on the back burner and come back to this? Do we need to do this? That kind of thing. Because typically I would have just pushed it off and not done anything with it, suppressed it. But, once you start to recover from the mental, sometimes, yes, physical, but the psychological abuse that you've gone through for so long. And then once you look at it, you're kind of like, you played the part, I played the part. You can see the storyline, you're okay with it. You're like, okay, well, that was to teach me a lesson. And I came out brighter on the other side, so that's good, and it's just time with God. It's time with yourself. You guys know that I totally think that we are gods. I don't think we are the God, but I do think that we're God's. We have the ability to manifest anything in our lives. We have the ability to do anything in our lives. And Jesus actually said that we are going to do better things than he. So if I discount myself, or I doubt myself, or I sabotage myself, then for me, that kind of, I almost said slaps Jesus in the face, because I felt like that was harsh. But that kind of, that's kind of like, I wonder if he's standing there going, look, I told you guys that, like, why are you not standing up? Why aren't you standing up for the truth? Why aren't you putting up boundaries? Why aren't you, thinking that you can do this? Why are you doubting? And I think sometimes the thoughts that go through my head, those never ending, cycles of thought, when they start to do that, I do have to have like a breakdown of, okay, I need to pump the brakes here and really, like, what is this? Because God's going to bring it up anytime. He's not going to wait until you get off at 5 o'clock. Sometimes he's going to just put it right there in your lap. And what are you going to do with it? That's what I was saying earlier. What do I need to do with this? Do I need to look at it later? Do I need to, come back to it? Is it something that I should even keep? Should I look at it and then dismiss it because it's not really mine? So I don't know. I govern myself much differently these days and in this chapter. So thank you guys for coming along on my journey. I told you guys it was going to be a dumpster fire. So have a good night, and I will catch you always on the flip side.